Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Config. I hope you're all as excited as we are about all the new capabilities and products that we announced yesterday. And one of the reasons I'm specifically excited about what we announced is that I think it starts to show the bigger picture of how we think about our product vision. So in order to explain this, I'm going to actually take you inside a FigJam file. And I think many of you here work on teams that build digital products, and as part of this, use Figma for product design. And if all of you build products, you know that it all starts with an idea that you start brainstorming. And maybe you're brainstorming what problems to solve, how to solve this. And after a while, you start to rally around a couple of ideas, and you start translating those into design. And you bring life to those ideas and keep iterating on those designs. And eventually, you start building the final product out in production to put in users' hands. So at the highest of levels, this is the end-to-end product design and development process as we see it. Just about 6 months ago during Config Europe, we actually focused on the second half of this lifecycle. And we announced features like a more powerful auto layout, variants, interactive components. And what makes these features thematically similar is that they add necessary structure to designs to help mirror their counterparts in code and production. And they also help designers and developers communicate about what needs to be built. So in many ways, what Config Europe was about was building these bridges between design and production. Now, yesterday, what we focused was on the first half of this lifecycle, the brainstorm to design phase. We, of course, announced FigJam, which we're inside right now. And we also announced audio, where people can be literally hearing each other's ideas and participating in the brainstorm. We also went into the design phase and announced an all-new mobile app. And this mobile app helps you put designs in users' hands faster so that you can incorporate that feedback from user research into your designs. And finally, we talked about branching, which is a brand new way of collaborating, especially for designs that are more complex or structured. So at Figma, our aspiration is to provide value at every step of this product development lifecycle for every member of the product team. So that was a little bit on our bigger picture, but today, actually, I want to focus on the details. You were bombarded with information yesterday, and what we want to do is slow down, walk you through this journey, and share some of our tips and tricks for how to use the new capabilities and features to their fullest. And in order to do that, I'm going to get some help and invite 2 Figmates to the stage. Raji, who is our beloved designer advocate here at Figma, and Alice, who's one of the engineers who worked on FigJam. Good morning, you two.
Hi, Yuki. How are you?
Good.
Good morning, Yuki. I'm ready to jam.
All right, let's do it. Well, thank you for joining me, and let's just get right started. So as I was saying, the early phases is the brainstorm phase. So I'm wondering, Alice, how do we use FigJam to get some of these ideas flowing?
Yeah, I actually like to start with an icebreaker. So let me just click this new button here on the front page. And I'm going to go into Browse Templates. You can see that we already populated some FigJam templates for you. Let's take a look. There are some retro templates, brainstorm templates, icebreaker.
Ooh, what is that haiku composer over there?
Yeah, let's stick into it. Well, it seems like you can use words to string together in haiku as a team.
Ooh, yeah, that reminds me of those refrigerator magnet games. You know, you play them with your family, create this cool narrative. It looks like it could be fun for a team.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And Alice, isn't it true that there are a lot of amazing templates in the community as well?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go take a look there as well. So if I click on community on the left panel, you can see that we already curated a set of templates for you to start with. You can also click on the FigJam pill, and there will be a lot more there that you can discover.
Yeah, I've been talking with a lot of our users, and last year, when we're all working from home, so many of our users were creating these kind of templates, but they were doing it in Figma. So it's cool to see that we could do this in FigJam.
Yeah, I particularly like this one by Namika, which is called Brand Personality Kit. you can rate yourself as a team on different spectrums, and it looks really fun.
Yeah, that looks super fun. Also, if you check out Namika's other work, she's got some great patterns and other cool resources on community.
Yeah, so I have actually adapted this template into FigJam. Let's jump into Gem file together.
Cool. I really love activities like this. I know Namika's file is for brand personalities, but I think this really works great for people as well. And a fun fact is when I was first interviewing at Figma, Noah, our head of design, actually had me do one of these activities just to get to know me a little bit better.
Yeah, let's stamp our faces on here to indicate where we are in the spectrum. To stamp, I can press E to bring up the emoji wheel, pick my face, and just like that, I'm stamping. If I push down my mouse button more, my face will get bigger. All right. Okay, Raji. Yeah, I agree with Yuki. There's a bunch of question marks here. I'm going to put you out of the spectrum.
Yeah, I love to think of myself as a blend of innocent and sophisticated, so I shouldn't be on the spectrum.
Yep.
All right, I think the ice is sufficiently broken. So if you can follow me over here, I've actually set up a brainstorm prompt for all of us. How do we feature plants on the Figma site? Figma being our second company selling plants, of course.
Yeah, Alice, for this phase, do you have any tips or tricks for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to press S to start putting down stickies. Sticky. And also you can use Command or Control Enter to put them down quickly, as well as hovering over them to make quick ones in the direction that you like. And if you look at Yuki's stickies here, you can see that his stickies has his name on it and mine has my name on it. If you like to reduce your bias while you're doing your brainstorming session, you can also toggle these authors off by clicking on this icon in the toolbar.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay, well, I know that Yuki's kind of a big shot, and I really want to leverage his power of his name. So I'm going to take his sticky and maybe put in my new idea of FigJam the movie. Oh, okay, never mind. Looks like it auto-updates to my name when I put in my text.
Yeah, the team thought about it a couple of weeks ago.
Nice one.
So let me bring you to a brainstorming session that we did earlier today. Look at all the ideas that we have. Oh, these are really good. I'd like to call out and highlight some of these. I can bring out the marker tool by pressing M. Let me, pick a fat green marker. Then I can just draw on the canvas just like that. If I like to bring up the marker tool again, I can press M, and it will remember your last settings.
It's really cool. Wait, and Raji, what are those stickers that you're pulling in? How are you getting those?
So I clicked on the libraries menu, and I love these stickers, so I'm just putting them everywhere. But Alice, could you tell us more about how to put those on the canvas?
Absolutely. So if you click on the library icon on that toolbar, you bring up the components panel, and then you can also dock it left or right, so you can put up stickers really quickly.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, I got to work with a bunch of artists on these stickers, and I'm just gushing over them. Do you mind if I share a little bit?
Of course, go for it.
All right, so if you would just observe me in the document, I'm going to show you some pretty rad icons. So we've got icons and, of course, stickies here, or stickers. And I just kind of want to walk you through them. So I took a few from each set. First, we have Squishy Squashies by Laura Bohill. We can see them, so fun. We've got Candy Bites by Noah Jacobus, and you can see they look pretty thick and like a piece of candy. We've got Cat Cafe by Alice Lee, and who doesn't love a cat with a monocle? I'm in. Next up, a funny name, Give Me a Hand by Olenka Marileka. These are pretty awesome because they're using variants. Alice, could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so some stickers come with variants. You can just click on them, and it will bring up variants menu. Then you can just pick the one that you like.
So cool. All right, next up we have Gnarly by Diana Traykov. Look how bright and fun this one is. And also for our adventure-loving and D&D-loving gamers, we've got Monster Manual by Alana Louise. I love this one. Yuki, do you want to try adding some text in this to show some magic? Yeah, look at how that bar grows.
Wow.
Yuki's super stoked. And then lastly, we have Foodies by Skinny Ships, Richard and Jen. Now, these are also using auto layout in them as well. So Yuki's going to give some examples of making that recipe card grow. And of course, I can add some more text to this carrot, and you can see that he is a cute, thick, chunky boy. He is cute.
It is cute. Alice, how does this auto layout thing even work?
Yeah, actually, we can take a look at it in Design Figma. I'm going to press Command C to copy this. Move on over to Design Figma. Press Command V to paste it. It will just paste as usual. But now you can examine its sublayers on the left panel. And let me take a look. Wow, there's so many auto layout sublayers. I can't even understand.
Some crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, we've talked through a lot of tips. Do you mind if I summarize?
Go for it.
All right. Okay, so just observe me in the doc again, and I'll take you through some tips. All right, first up, we have marker. Just press M to quickly select the marker. If you change the color or weight, FigJam will remember your choice for the next time you use it. For authorship, all you have to do is click on the authorship. I'm going to start over again. Authorship. Stickies will show authors by default. You can use the authorship toggle to turn off this and keep stickies anonymous to avoid bias like Alice was talking about. For stickies, all you have to do is press S to quickly add a sticky to the canvas. And of course, my favorite, the emote stamp wheel. Quickly access the emoji wheel to add reactions and stamps to your file. Hit E again to toggle between emojis and stamps. FigJam will remember your last setting. All right, components, of course, where I put all my fun stickers. You can quickly access components and stickers from your libraries by using these keyboard shortcuts to toggle the component panel. And lastly, if you're sticker happy like me, you can drag your dock to the left or to the right, or use the dock icon to keep up your components library.
Awesome. Well, now that we've gone through the brainstorming phase, typically what we tend to do is translate some of those ideas into user flows and user journeys. And for that, diagramming is really great. So I thought we could go to a different part of the canvas and start doing some diagramming. So if you would follow me.
Awesome. Okay, I'm ready to jam on this. Alice, what's your tips for this area?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So you already have seen Yuki put down those diagrams earlier on in the keynote. So let's try doing that again. Let's pull out a shape. Again, I can press Command or Control Enter to add shapes. This time they will be connected properly. And you can just keep doing that quickly in any quick succession. You can also hover over a shape to bring out the auto connectors. And when you press on them, it will create the shapes in the direction that you'd like. So let's jump on to another flow that we have done earlier for you today. This one's a lot more complicated. It's looking pretty good already. I think I'd like to connect this square and this square here. Let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to press Shift-C to bring up the connectors. And you can hover over a shape to decide where you want to connect to. Drag it over. Alternatively, you can also press Command to make sure it doesn't snap. And there you go. Let me adjust the thickness and the color a little bit. And you can see that the connectors will stick with whichever you've snapped to. If you hover over this connector, you can also drag the blue handle to customize it. Let's see. I think it looks better like this. Then I'm going to add some text to the connector. I'm going to press the +T button here. Or alternatively, you could press Enter. And let me get some text going. Maybe some background. And then I'm going to move the text around. There you go. How's it looking?
Do you think we could change the color of that line, Alice?
Yes. Let's change it to yellow.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then you can also toggle this button here to change it into a straight line. Or you can press L or use the inline menu to create straight lines directly. You can also connect anything together. So for example, let me connect this perfect to this screen. There you go.
Oh, those are some great tips, Alice. Okay, once again, can we do a quick summary for our audience?
Absolutely.
just observe me in the document. We'll go through what you went over. First up, we have connector labels. You can add text to your connections by clicking the +T button or press Enter on the connector menu. Once made, you can move the placement of your label. For connectors, you press Shift-C to quickly select the connector tool. You can draw magnetic connections between objects on the canvas. The blue handles will let you adjust their exact path. Lines. Press L to quickly select the line tool to draw a line. Also, hovering over objects will reveal connection points if you want to draw lines between two objects. And lastly, auto connectors. You can add an adjacent object that is connected to the one you've selected by clicking on the plus icon in the desired direction.
Nice. So Alice, if you can follow me, I'm just gonna go back to the first diagram I drew. We talked about how FigJam is really great for this brainstorm phase of the product lifecycle. But actually, it's really useful for the design phase as well. And at Figma, we use FigJam to do some design prints. So we want to show you how that works. And in order to do that, I'm going to have Oscar, one of our new product designers, call in. Hey, Oscar.
Hey, Oscar.
It's Oscar here, calling in all the way from Sweden. So if we jump into Figma on my computer, I want to show you something. All right, so let's say I've been working on this design here. And there's some iterations in here. There's some kind of messy wireframes. I want to show this design to the team in a meeting, but I don't really want to invite them into Figma here. But what I can do is copy the frames I want to show and paste them directly into FigJam, where we are running our meeting. And now everyone can chime in with feedback here, and I think that's what's going to happen now. For some more on design critiques and giving feedback, Noah, Sarah, and some more from our design team here at Figma will be giving a live critique session later today. And one thing we like to do actually is spend some kind of heads down silent time, actually just having everyone write notes in the document, just as a great way to kind of hear everyone's voice and get a lot of feedback in a short amount of time. But more on that later. All right, so let's see how we're doing here. Yuki, do we have any feedback coming in?
One of the things that I really like about FigJam is that when you copy over a mock from Figma Design, you can actually continue to make some lightweight edits. So let's say I want to change the copy over here. I can do that and make these changes, and it's really easy, and I can do that without feeling afraid of messing up the designs, which is really cool. All right, so let's say we've been in this crit for a while and we've made iterations on this design. And I think the next step in the journey is putting the design in front of users. What do you think, Oscar?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. So if we jump back into Figma and fast forward a little bit on this project, here we built out a prototype for this. And we did it with interactive components and kind of a small design system here. We added all the necessary interactions of the flow and screen transitions. And here I think the goal is to test this and see if this checkout flow actually works with our users, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping Yuki in a comment here, and he'll know we're ready for a user test.
So what's the best way to test this? One of the things we heard a lot in the past was that it's difficult to simulate the full screen experience with a link to a prototype.
Yeah, so we actually thought about this. So if you switch over to my phone here, I have the Slack app open, and specifically I have the Figma Slack app, which we announced earlier this year. And you can see that Oscar's comment shows up here, which is super convenient already. And now I can hit open in Figma, and because I have the Figma mobile app installed, it just opens up right there in the file, which is really nice. And of course, because it's a prototype, I can hit the play button down there, and I get this immersive experience as if I'm using the real product.
Oh, and the cool thing is that if you switch back to my computer, I can actually follow Yuki around. So when he's using the mobile app, I can follow him by pressing on his avatar, and I can follow him as if I'm kind of doing a remote user test or seeing what he's doing when he's testing the app.
Oscar, that's huge. Remote testing for the win. Okay, so Yuki, is it true that users can also view the prototypes completely untethered?
Totally. So if you go back to my phone, you can long press to exit the prototype. And actually, you can view all your prototypes that you viewed, files in your file browser, favorite teams and projects. And actually, this Office Hours Jam file, I'm just going to open up right here. If we give it a second. And this is actually the FigJam file that we were just in earlier.
Oh, that's so meta. Okay, this is great. All right, so let's go back to the prototype. So we've got this full screen on mobile and we're ready for feedback. Let's say I want to jump in and make some tweaks. Now, I love that I don't have to worry about syncing and my changes just show up when I need to make quick edits. But you probably don't want me doing this while I'm with a client or a stakeholder or users interacting with it, right?
That would not be ideal.
All right, so just this last week, I heard this feedback again from one of our community users, Fernando Yanez. He ran into this and he was asking for help. Usually, as a designer advocate, our recommendation is just to duplicate that page and then you can actually work within that duplicate.
Yep. So that still works. But actually, if you're on our organization plan, you can create a branch to do the same.
That's exactly right. So while it might not make sense to use branches like in the early phases of a project when you're just like, exploring or kind of jamming together, in situations like this, it actually starts to make a lot of sense, when there's like a user test ongoing, but we still kind of want to explore some parts of the design.
Okay, so as a developer, though, my nerd senses are definitely tingling, and I want to hear more about branches.
Right, yeah. So since this design is being tested, and someone is kind of in this prototype or in this file doing something, but we still want to make a tweak or make a design suggestion. So what we can do then is create a branch. And I mean, that's one use case, but it could also be like a design system that maybe a certain team manages and you want to kind of have more people contribute to that design system. All right, but what do you say, Yuki? Should we maybe try making a branch here and make some improvements without interrupting the user test again?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's. What you do then is you go to the file, you go to the menu and press Create Branch, and let's call this Checkout Flow Improvements here. Like that. And what this essentially gives you is like an isolated space where you can work on your design changes, knowing that you won't interrupt whatever's happening in the main file.
Oscar, this is super useful. I'm curious, like, who can create a branch?
Yeah, so the cool thing is that you only need to be a viewer of the main file to be able to create a branch, but still be an editor of the branch. Yeah, we think this is great. Maybe like just because you can run like have like design suggestions coming in from people who might not be in your team, and they might not have editor access, but yeah, they can still like suggest design changes or maybe contribute to a design system without being editors of your files. All right, but let's make some edits here and kind of fix these problems. So Raji, did you have a sense of what we wanted to fix here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yuki was mentioning that research said some people got hung up on the payment details step. So maybe we can explore making the stepper and the move to the next step actions clearer.
Yeah, you're reading my mind. So if I'm zooming into this step here, I think this, just this grayscale difference isn't doing it for me. So I think we should try updating that. And this button is a bit sus as well. So let's go here and look at this stepper component. Maybe we should try changing it to our kind of brand green color and see how that works. Yeah, I think that's a pretty clear improvement, just like that. And then this button, maybe we should try our primary variant from our design system here. What do you think, Raji?
I think it looks great, but I'm wondering, like, how can we get other people to look at this, get some more eyes on this?
Good call. So what I'll do then is I'll invite Yuki to this branch to make sure he can edit this branch as well. So I'll just go to the share view and invite Yuki, and we can get his take on this. All right, and while we're waiting for Yuki, I can mention that commenting is actually separate in your branch. So you don't need to worry about kind of all the discussions in the comments kind of collecting in the main file. It can kind of be separated based on what you're exploring per branch, which is pretty cool. All right.
Just give me a second to get in there.
No worries.
All right, I'm in.
Fantastic. I'm going to follow you around and see what's up here.
Okay, so maybe let's say that, I don't know, I'll make a little edit here as well. Maybe something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I say we move forward. Does anybody have any objections?
No, I trust you to. You know I'm conflict averse.
All right. So now that you mentioned conflicts, I feel like I got to talk about branching conflicts. So let's say we're finished with this now, and we want to merge it back into the main branch. What you'll do then is you go to the menu again and press Review and Merge Changes. And this kind of gives you a summary of your what edits you did in your branch. What you can do when you're in a branch is that you kind of want to keep in sync with the main branch. You can update from the main branch. But there might be conflicts, right? Someone might have changed something in the main file that you also changed in your branch. But then we'll actually let you pick between which changes you want to keep and which one you want to discard. All right, but now we're kind of ready for merging this, since we don't have any conflicts, fortunately. But what you'll do then is you can review the changes. You can click into this component, for example, see the difference, and get some more details down here. Since this is a component, we can see all the kind of affected instances, which is a pretty cool thing for design systems. Like if you're updating like a add-on style component, this is a really neat thing to be able to do. And for a page like this, it's pretty cool to be able to use this slider to kind of pick out the difference in your design. All right, I think we're ready to merge, but Raji, I think you had something we should talk about with merging, right?
Yeah, you could just say, like, I think we're ready to merge, and then I could take that as my cue. Yeah, you mentioned Oscar, you said who could create a branch, and I'm wondering, does the same permissions apply to merging there?
Right. Yeah, so the thing is that only editors of the main file can merge the branch. And that's pretty cool, because then viewers kind of have the freedom to propose ideas, but editors still has kind of the control of what gets merged back into the original file. But fortunately for me, I'm an editor of the original file, so I can just go ahead and merge this. But if I weren't, I would maybe ask one of the editors to review this and merge the file. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead because I know that the user test is finished. And I'm going to hand it back to Yuhki and Raji.
All right, thank you so much, Oscar. So if you can go back to my diagram, I'm going to conclude by talking about all the things that we covered. We talked about in the brainstorm phases how you can use FigJam for icebreakers, ideation, and diagramming. And then when you move on to the design phase, how you can continue to use FigJam for design crits, but also leverage new capabilities like the new mobile app and branching for all sorts of collaboration and design iteration use cases.
Yeah, we absolutely covered so many tips. Yuhki, like, where can people find all these tips?
Yeah, so up here, I've collected all of our tips, and we're going to actually publish this to the community. And speaking of publishing, all of you can publish now to the community, whether you're inside Figma or Figma Design or FigJam. And if you have tips and tricks, assets, templates, please share them with the rest of the world. And it's as easy as this. You just hit the share button. You'll see this publish to community tab, and that's that. And you can see that I've already gone ahead and published this right here in the Figma profile, and this is the file right here. And I really encourage everyone today to go to the figma.com/community, because there's going to be a lot of amazing templates. These FigJam templates that Alice covered, all the config talks, if you've missed any of them or just want to take a look and remix them, and a lot more content.
Yeah, there is so much amazing stuff here, and we are constantly adding to community and iterating it. I just want to say also, we looked at those really cool stickers, and you can create those sorts of things. So in Figma, create any kind of stickers or assets you may want to share with the community. Put in that auto layout magic or whatever it is you want to do. Add those variants, and then you can publish that right out to community, and it'll be available to use in FigJam.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Tips and Tricks. I hope you learned something new today. Definitely go to the community, definitely play with FigJam, and keep an eye out for all the launches that are coming. We're really looking forward to hearing your feedback, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.